Once you're in the job, you also realize that you don't want to stay where you started. You want to grow. How do you grow? Continuously learning and engaging in the ecosystem, because then you keep talking to people. The person who gave you the first job might not be the person to give you the second job, the promotion, or whatever it is that you're looking for. So you have to engage in the ecosystem. If you want to be a regulatory affairs pharmacist, the starting point is to know that field exists and what it does. The role of a pharmacist, I would say, is guaranteeing that the patients and the people that we were trained and we took an oath of practice at the end of our pharmacy training to protect and to serve are still served. And how do we serve them as pharmacists? We have our medicine knowledge, the technical expertise that we have. How do we use it to guarantee they'll get the right medicines when and where they need them? That is key. There's nothing that limits you to what you can do.
Okay.
One thing I told you about when I got to fall in love with pharmacy was the realization that there are so many options within the pharmacy space, and you can do anything and everything using your pharmacy background and pharmacy knowledge. And I normally look at this example of Jeremy Awori, the CEO of EcoBank Africa. He's a pharmacist. He's now leading a bank serving more than 14 countries in Africa.
That's amazing.
Yes, that is substantial.
Yeah.
Did it stop him from being a pharmacist? Did not stop him from being a banker. When I talk to them, I reflect about their experiences, but also once I'm reflecting on it, I'm asking myself, what is the intersection of what they're telling me with what I'm doing or what I can do or what I aspire to do?
Hello and a warm welcome to the second episode of Beyond Pharmacy School. My name is Millennium Diana, and today's guest is someone many young pharmacists look up to, not just for what he has achieved, but for how he has intentionally built his path and remained true to what he loves. Karibu Daktari.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, happy, and doing things that I enjoy, so I'm happy.
You're doing things that you enjoy. Yes. Nice. Happy to hear that. Could you first introduce yourself?
So I'm Odhiambo David. I'm a pharmacist by profession. I've been in practice for the last almost 7 years now. That is after graduation, but I've done a lot of things in between. Beyond being a pharmacist, as I was telling you, I'm a farmer. I'm a human being just like every other person. But I also do a lot of other things beyond the pharmacy practice, which is in entrepreneurship, venture development, and teaching as well as a teacher.
Nice. Sometimes we perceive you as a robot because you do so many things. We wonder where you get the time from. But besides that, you said you are a pharmacist. That means you did pharmacy in campus. Is that what you wanted to do?
I would say pharmacy is not what I wanted to do, because at the time that I was choosing my courses, for example, in my high school period, I didn't even know pharmacy was one of the options that was in my purview. So all I knew from the way I would grow up in the villages, everybody thinks of you to be successful in life, you either have to be a doctor or an engineer. And the third level, you could either be a lawyer. And if all don't work, you'll be a teacher. So in those those options that I had, pharmacy was never close. But then when I did my undergraduate, my high school KCSE certificate exam, got my 79 points out of the possible 84, medicine was kind of running away from me. So I had to review my course, and in those review, actually made pharmacy one of my priority courses. And luckily enough, I got my opportunity to study pharmacy.
Did you know the field you wanted to venture into after doing pharmacy?
No. When I got into pharmacy school, I knew nothing about pharmacy beyond the fact that I used to see people in pharmacies running their pharmacy businesses as community pharmacies, or pharmacists in pharmacies, hospitals. So then all I knew the options were either you're in community pharmacy or in hospital pharmacy practice. Beyond that, I didn't know anything. But then I told myself I'm going to pursue this course, and I took that opportunity. And I remember when I joined JQuat for my pharmacy education, I was still kind of drawn to doing medicine. And I loved the idea that I could be a doctor, like a real doctor. That is what they used to say.
Did you know a pharmacist is a doctor then?
No. Okay. I knew I was going to be a pharmacist, not a doctor. So in that conversation, then with one of my cousins, I gave him a call when I was making an application to switch my courses and everything. JQuat told me they couldn't allow me to, because I would either switch not as a government sponsored, but as a self-sponsored student. Self-sponsored meant you had to pay 133,000 per term for 3 terms every year for 5 years. my parents couldn't afford that and they were
That's
not going to
unfortunate.
fund it. So
Yeah.
then I had to go back to pharmacy and settle on it. And when I had the conversation with my cousin, he told me, there's no bad course and there's no good course. It is what you do with it that matters. So I got into pharmacy. I would say I fell in love in pharmacy in my second semester of pharmacy school. And it's one of the best decisions that I think I made in this lifetime, or that chose me. Yeah.
Nice. Why did you fall in love with pharmacy in second year? Why not first year?
It's first year, second semester.
First year,
First year,
second
second
semester. Is there a
semester.
particular thing that happened and you're like, I think I love
Yes.
this?
I would say one of the key things that happened at that point is we had an engagement there was a career day. And through the Student Association, pharmacists practicing in different fields of work were invited to the university to talk to us and share the pathways in terms of what they were doing and all that. And I would say that brought to fore the possibilities in pharmacy beyond the confines of the two that I knew. And that made me fall in love with pharmacy, because I would say normally I see myself as somebody who likes trying things, and I keep doing multiple things at any one point in time. So when that conversation happened, I realized that actually pharmacy was the best place I would have been to. So I fell in love with it at that particular moment. And actually, I would just tell you here this. I'm having conversation with the work that I'm doing with African Pharmaceutical Network with a couple of universities, including JCOT.
Nice.
The essence of it is that single moment and this single experience that I had that transformed my outlook on what pharmacy meant and how my career trajectory has been. How can we make it be more democratized and accessible to as many people? And one of the things that we're hoping is to have partnership with the universities offering pharmacy, to have this engagement in a structured way, so that then we enable as many more future pharmacists.
Nice, because many people out there don't know what pharmacy entails.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is a missed opportunity, if I would say.
Yeah, very wide field with many opportunities. How did you realize the field you wanted to get into in pharmacy?
I would say getting to be clear on the path that I wanted to follow after school. I was still in the exploratory phase for a greater part of it.
Okay.
But in my third year of school, I knew I had to be in the business world, in the corporate side of things, based on my interactions with people. So that was my outlook. What I was going to do in that corporate side of pharmacy, industrial pharmacy, whatever it is, I didn't know. But I knew I loved management, I love policy, and I love making businesses succeed. And that's something that I don't know, most people don't know as much. And I've been in the business world trying new ventures as much as I would say from as early as I was in high school. Yes. And in high school, I was selling a couple of stuff and all that. After high school, I started my first business as a library. Then after having a library for a business, it failed. Just so you know.
What were you doing in a library?
Allowing people to read my books. Yeah. So
Nice.
so I opened a library for people to read. People didn't come as much in my village, so I don't think they love books as much.
Was
So
it from the rich dad story, or it was how the business grew?
No. I just decided to start a library. And for me, starting a library was, I love books. I love reading a lot. So when I was getting done with high school, people sell books when they're finishing Form 4. I was doing the exact opposite. I was buying from them who are selling. So I remember when I finished Form 4, I had a whole box of books. I didn't carry anything else other than books back home. So that was the books that I started the library with. My friend, unfortunately, the business didn't succeed. I made less than 100, around 100 bob for 3 months. It's like, this one is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Lucky thing, it was my mom's house, so I was not paying rent. That was a good thing. But then other than that, in campus, I opened a restaurant. So I always had something for businesses. So when I realized that I was going into that pathway, I've done so many things. But in third year, I was clear that is what it's going to be. I never knew what specifically I'm going to do in that space. Then over time, I would say it's a matter of evolution. You're doing things and you're gaining experiences, gaining nuances, but also getting people who are doing things that you enjoy doing. So that has been the path for me. And I would say I became clear on what I want to do after my internship and my first job with Capi, because then that was clear for me. Because I worked with KHF, I worked with Capi, I worked with Novartis, and I was enjoying what I was doing. And almost in every other way, when you do offer services to people who are paying for them, they're paying for what they believe in, what they love, and what they value. So that is success for me.
Nice. Throughout campus, you are a leader. How has that shaped your journey till now, and how would you define leadership?
Leadership is service, And when I look at leadership as service, my journey in leadership started from the point when I didn't know what I wanted to be in leadership. When I was in primary school, being appointed as a prefect and all that. Then high school, I did run for election in high school. I never won. And by losing that election, I would say I wasn't as invested in it.
Okay.
But I also lost because there's a point of going with a populist narrative or not going with it. So I was like, okay, that's it. Then in campus was a formative phase in my development of my leadership journey. In campus, you deal with people. It's like we are in our real element in the world. But you also have diverse perspective and diverse experiences. And leadership, as I talked about it as being service, is how do I apply myself to help people to achieve what they aspire for, but also to give them the possibilities of what that future would look like.
Yeah.
So that was me getting into leadership. And in campus, every single venture that I was getting into, every initiative, every association that I was taking up leadership was, what can I do in this space? What does it mean to do it? And why do people want to entrust me with this leadership? So I used to ask myself, actually, most of the times when I offered myself for leadership, it was either because I felt like there's something meaningful that I would contribute to it. And I would say that would be associated with either my privilege in terms of having access to resources, access to mentors, and it's easier for me to talk to people generally. So when I talk to people and get new insight, I'm like, okay, I can package this and use it to help people and unlock possibilities. So I'm using my privilege and access to information that not everybody might have access to and deploying it to the service of others. And leadership for me is being able to serve by harnessing possibilities and capabilities that are within my purview and zone of influence.
Nice. You've talked about service, and I believe it is through that leadership that you also built YPG and the current APN. Could you first talk about YPG? Why was it born?
I would say for service, I look at leadership as a matter of service. It doesn't mean taking leadership in an institutional level, but if you can, fantastic. That's amazing. But being in service is asking yourself, what are the needs, what are the opportunities, and how do we link the needs to the opportunities to harness value? So when you talk about YPG, the Young Pharmacist Group, on 23rd of November 2019, I just finished my undergraduate education. We are getting ready for posting for internships and everything. We now had our first YPG convening, All Saint Cathedral in Nairobi. And in that meeting, we had conversation of the challenges young pharmacists were contending with, the possibilities that existed out there. But we were not clear how would that shape out for us. So what happened is I offered myself for leadership and a couple of other guys. That was in 2019 September. Then after that journey, 2020 COVID came, nothing happened. 2021, I'm done with internship. Nothing is still happening. But then the formation of this steering team was not materializing. So I remember I called a couple of my friends on that particular moment. I called Dr. Kelvin Odongo, Dr. David Kiretai, Johnson Wanjoi, Faith Nyawira, and I was and Esther Nyango as well. And the question was, we offered ourselves to serve. This is our opportunity to do something. And I would say if we don't do it, this YPG thing will never materialize. And I remember those meetings. We were actually spending our own money to meet in Nairobi to structure the foundation of what it was going to be. And I offered to serve as the founding chairperson at that point. And the thing is, we let us form a foundation of structure on what YPG could be because there's a need for it. And in this need for me was 2017, the longest doctor strike in the country. Automatic posting for doctors and pharmacists done with, which means career prospects for almost all the people who are training is not guaranteed. And that is the same situation we're still contending with.
Yeah, we are not sure after this internship where we'll...
What next?
Yeah, what next?
Exactly. And not knowing that the answer to that becomes a very critical concern that most people will contend with. And your parents invested in you. So how do we help unlock that value? And for us was, let us give it a house where people know where to ask for the question they have. People know who to reach out to when they need it. And that is how we formed YPG. And we established a formative structure for it and domiciled it within PSK. And that was a critical part for the first journey for us.
How about APN?
So APN, African Pharmaceutical Network, started in 2020.
Okay.
And the journey for APN, I would say, was linked to different things that I've been involved in over time. When I finished school, my first job was a data entry clerk with Kileleshwa Medical Plaza, Dr. Maniki, who offered me the opportunity. After that, I got a job with Kenya Healthcare Federation as a project associate, which gave me, I would say, front row seat access to policy, business in the healthcare space in Kenya. And in coordinating these actually it was in Kenya, but also part of East Africa, because my main project of focus was the East Africa Healthcare Federation Conference, coordinating across the region. So after that, I was like, okay, there's a lot that's happening, and I enjoyed it. Then moving forward, I went to CAPI, Kenya Association of Pharmaceutical Industry. I worked with them as the program administrative manager, did that work for us 1.5 years or so. But then after finishing that, during that period is when APN was coming into space. COVID happened. A continent of 1.2 billion people with 357 ventilators. It's not going to be sustainable. Sure. And it's not going to be the best way to address our needs. So I needed to find a way, what are the gaps? And I remember that time when we did the initial kind of analysis of the market, we had each and every professional across the healthcare value chain working in their own silos. And which was a missed opportunity. And I look at healthcare, but now this is the pharma. The community pharmacist is working in their community pharmacy. They only talk to the distributor or wholesaler when they want to buy stocks. Yeah. The same with the hospital pharmacist when they are ordering tenders or whatever it is. The industry person or the manufacturer, the distributor, talks to these people when they are supplying or when they want to know what they want. Then the government is shaping policies but doesn't engage with the industry as much. And even in COVID response, we could see we will have announcements on what is going to happen, what the government ministry is proposing and everything. But how much of it was being driven by the professionals who do the job?
The implementation.
Yes. Okay. And how much of it was being done by the industry who is actually supplying the products? And we had disruption. There was challenges in getting some of the medicine that we did at that point in time. So for me we needed a platform that could facilitate and catalyze this conversation as a convener in the ecosystem. And I benchmarked on the World Economic Forum as the global business, I would say global convening platform for leaders across different domains. And if we could make that happen for the African pharmaceutical industry, my mission was these would give us a platform where we could drive growth of the industry, ensure there's reliability in healthcare products and technologies in the continent, but also drive industry growth. Because when I look at the entire industry and the entire value chain we only have 2 objectives and 2 goals. One, get the patients the products they need to stay healthy and to live healthy lives. Okay. Number 2, to drive economic growth. Those are the key enablers for success in every other venture. So people to be healthy, economic growth. So those are the key things that we started, and that is how African Pharmaceutical Network started for us.
Who can join African Pharmaceutical Network?
Joining African Pharmaceutical Network, when we started off, it was open to individuals and organizations. Currently, we've suspended that as we're in a point of reviewing and reinvigorating our organization to see what is the best way to do it. But then in individuals, we have professionals and students. Students mostly within pharmacy background and life sciences. Professionals can be within or pharmacists or within the life science industry, or people outside who have an interest or are working in the industry. You can be a banker who is banking healthcare projects. Yeah. Then you're allowed to be members. And that is actually going to come up in a couple of months or so. We will be reactivating the membership component. For institutions, we have African institutions, global institutions, and that is also open for entities that are keen on furthering this vision of what we are building as that convening platform to drive growth in Africa's pharmaceutical industry. So that is key for us.
Okay. So that is about the African Pharmaceutical Network. You have worked globally, right? You are a regulatory pharmacist at Novartis. What is the role of a regulatory pharmacist?
I would say the role of a regulatory pharmacist is to bring products into the market. Okay. And how do you bring products into the market? In each of the respective countries where we work, there are regulations and there are laws. And those laws will determine how you bring your products to the market, the condition that you must meet and all that. So as a regulatory affairs pharmacist, when I was working with Novartis, my key role was 1, to review the documentation for the medicine that we intended to register in the respective countries. Once you've reviewed them, you prepare any additional documentation that might be necessary. Then you make submissions, follow up to get the product registered. That was number 1. Number 2, once the product has been registered, you have your license, you maintain the product in the market. Which means in case of any changes that might affect safety, efficacy, and the quality of product, you have to notify the regulator, ensure it is approved before it is implemented. That becomes a core of my function in regulatory affairs. In another level, all this work that you're doing internally involves communication of information, either internally or externally. That comes to the regulatory policy and intelligence piece. gather intelligence, analyze it, and help it make sense to internal business people, internal leaders, but also make it make sense on how do we engage with external parties to shape policy environment. And that was now part of my role with CAPI as a board member in terms of the market shaping work. So those were the key things that I was doing with Novartis in regulatory affairs across East and Southern Africa. Yeah.
How can someone become a regulatory pharmacist, regulatory affairs pharmacist?
If you want to be a regulatory affairs pharmacist, the starting point is to know that field works, field exists, and what it does. And I would say the first thing is you have the option of going to YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, Odhiambo David, has content about regulatory affairs. I think that was the first video that I did. So whoever is interested, you can watch it, get to know what it entails, look at different resources. 2, you can take courses on regulatory affairs. And in African Pharmaceutical Network, we also have our Pharmacy Academy that has courses in regulatory affairs, pharmacovigilance and patient safety, pharmaceutical supply chain management. So those are opportunities for you to learn what it entails, but also to gain the technical, practical skills, not only knowing, but gaining the skills to be able to do the job. So that is key. Beyond that, you don't get a job by only getting the knowledge and stopping at that. You get jobs by knowing which companies are recruiting, who is recruiting, what are they looking for in recruitment. And I would say networking with professionals in the regulatory affairs space, if you want to get into regulatory affairs, is a fantastic thing for you to do. Get to talk to people, ask them what they're looking for, how you can get a job, where they have opportunities and all that as you go through the journey. Once you know and you know who are recruiting and what they're looking for and you're prepared, you're ready, make the ask. Unless you ask, nobody will give you a job. So you must ask for that job. You must apply for them when the applications are opening up and everything. Be in the space where action is happening, because that is how then you get the opportunities that you are hoping and looking forward to. And I would say that is the easiest pathway into regulatory affairs. But then once you're in the job, you also realize that you don't want to stay where you started. You want to grow. How do you grow? Continuously learning and engaging in the ecosystem, because then you keep talking to people. The person who gave you the first job might not be the person to give you the second job, the promotion, whatever it is that you're looking for. So you have to engage in the ecosystem, know people, what they're doing and everything, but also build skills that when I'm giving you a chance, you're somebody that I can defend, not somebody that I'm like, I wish I didn't make this mistake. That is a critical part of the journey for you. And then commit to lifelong learning and diligence, because the documentation is what will determine what products come to the market. It will determine whether the patient is healthy after using your medicine or not, whether the company is in business or out of business. Because if it's poor quality, there will be a market action. They'll be taken out of the market. And it is you as the regulatory affairs pharmacist will have failed the company. That is a reputational harm. So you need to get into it, do a good job, build yourself, continue engaging as much as possible, and commit to lifelong learning. Yeah.
You say you're currently doing what you love.
Yes.
What's that?
I would say
is it a shift from the traditional role of a pharmacist?
I do the things that I love, and I look at it from a point of, it's not a shift, it's a continuation of the journey, but in different platforms. The role of a pharmacist, I would say, is guaranteeing that the patients and the people that we were trained and we took an oath of practice at the end of our pharmacy training to protect and to serve are still served. And how do we serve them as pharmacists? We have our medicine knowledge, the technical expertise that we have. How do we use it to guarantee they'll get the right medicines when and where they need them? That is key. So then I love that part, but I'm looking at what platforms and what opportunities do I have to do it. And I would say now leading African Pharmaceutical Network, it is a good opportunity to do that, and in a way that I love doing it. One, shaping a market to ensure that the ecosystem is at its best. And then beyond being at its best, empowering people who would work within that ecosystem to do what needs to be done. So I shape policy in terms of the engagement that we look at African Pharmaceutical Network. Then we empower the professionals to do the job. And that is where the trainings that you're talking about is coming in. And we're building on more courses, by the way, across even beyond the industrial side, including in the clinical space for those who are in clinical and even in community practice. We're building a lot of work that in that space. Then on the other end, beyond that is saying, all these people, if we have enabled them to work, they must get places to work. Where do they work? In organizations, in companies, in businesses. How do we enable businesses to work? And that now becomes in our enterprise development and business ecosystem advisory support services. So that then a company that is keen on venturing into the Kenyan pharmaceutical market can make a call to us today African Pharmaceutical Network, we will walk the process with them to help them set up premise, to help them set up the operations, to start getting into the market. They need talent. We will be able to look at getting the talent they need so that they can work in the market. If that can happen, they'll employ, they create the jobs that we're looking for. They'll get the quality medicine that we need in the market, and we'll be able to drive economic growth, what we aspire for. So those are the key things that I feel like I enjoy doing. And I love business and I love all these different aspects. So now integrating it in an integrated ecosystem rather than I take one path and run with it, then you realize you're left a part that is actually making this one not to work best.
Yeah.
So my approach is let us have an ecosystem approach to what we do, a holistic approach.
Where can people find you? APN. Where can they find APN? Do you have a website?
We have a website. So for whoever is interested in engaging with us, our website, africanpharmanetwork.net. And actually, even we just type online African Pharmaceutical Network, you'll find us. We are coming top in the listing, Google listing. Then you go to LinkedIn, African Pharmaceutical Network still exists there. Our offices are in Nairobi, Gashie, Peponi Homes. You can get to contact us. Our contacts are also available. And for the different things that we do, let us know how we can support.
Now, there's a pharmacist out there who wants to venture into something that they truly love, but they may feel they are getting lost. What would you tell them?
You want to venture into something that you really love?
Yes, and it may not be directly connected to pharmacy.
I would say in that pathway, there's nothing that limits you to what you can do.
Okay.
One thing I told you about when I got to fall in love with pharmacy was the realization that there are so many options within the pharmacy space. And you can do anything and everything using your pharmacy background and pharmacy knowledge. And I normally look at this example of Jeremy Awori, the CEO of EcoBank Africa. He's a pharmacist. He's now leading a bank serving more than 14 countries in Africa.
That's amazing.
That is substantial.
Yeah.
Did it stop him from being a pharmacist? Did not stop him from being a banker.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is it that you're passionate about? What problem exists in that ecosystem? How do you channel your knowledge and your insights to address that problem, regardless of whether you are a pharmacist or not? But now being a pharmacist, you're opening a new frontier as the pharmacist in that domain. You're creating possibilities. And I would say, get to do it, ask questions. And the easiest thing for me normally is, I talk to people a lot. And it is one thing that I really am grateful for. Talk to people because they're willing to share information. People like talking about what they've done, what they're doing and everything. So ask questions. People will tell you answers. People will sometimes don't have the answers, but they'll refer you to somebody else to talk to.
Answer.
That person will give you the answer that you're hoping for. That has been a good journey for me in terms of talking to people. I talk to bankers. I talk to tech people. I talk to lawyers. I talk to shopkeepers. Anybody that I can talk to. But when I talk to them, I reflect about their experiences, but also once I'm reflecting on it, I'm asking myself, what is the intersection of what they're telling me with what I'm doing or what I can do or what I aspire to do? So it is about you linking the different pools of knowledge that you're getting to aggregate it into intelligence that can do something. So that is your value in terms of pursuing the thing that you want to do. Talk to people. Beyond talking to people, get to do the thing. You cannot want to, but you never do. Because if you don't do it, nothing happens. And I think maybe what I would tell people about a website that I manage, actually my blog, and it's coming as our media arm for the work that we're doing in the African Pharmaceutical Network under the Spark, thespark.co.ke. There's an article that I wrote there, and I think it still comes in handy, and every day that I talk to people, I tell them, that is one of my best articles. Execution is king. You can talk about what you want to do. You can plan all your life. But unless you execute, it will never happen because you're always talking, but you're not doing. So then how do you expect it to materialize? So execution is king to do the work that you need to do. Implement it. And I would say, if you do that, you'll be on another trajectory.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self, I would say the 18-year-old self was more... The 18-year-old David was more driven to accomplishing everything, which is amazing, but then needs to be kinder to himself. With time, everything comes into place. And I would say that is the greatest learning that I've come to appreciate, in the sense that sometimes ambition is amazing. And I remember this is a guidance that I would say an advice that I got from one of my mentors, Dr. William Kiarie.
Oh.
In one of my conversations, that was in 2021 after COVID, I went to visit him and in Tumaini Gardens. And in that conversation, he told me, David, you're ambitious, which is amazing. But sometimes don't be too ambitious, but don't lack ambition. Find the right balance.
Okay.
And finding the right balance is saying, with my ambition, this is what I want to do. How do I taper it down to ensure that I implement? Because sometimes ambition comes in with so many possibilities that you get stuck in the possibilities rather than in the implementation of what needs to happen. So I'll tell my younger self, manage your ambition. That's one. Two, be kind to yourself. Because with ambition, sometimes you fail to live. Life, there's no rehearsal. So be more present and be intentional about the things you do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. We've come to the end of the conversation.
Thank you.
Is there one thing that you feel like you'd want to talk about and we have not touched on?
For me, I would say anything that I would want to talk about, I would want to tell people that the world is your oyster. And most of the times we feel we don't have the answers because we are looking within. Look without.
Look without.
Yes. Look out for answers from other people. They'll be willing to help you. And so many people have been willing to help, and I'm grateful that I've been lucky enough to have champions and people who are supporting me, even though that I never knew would be there to help me, by the way. And every other time when you see that kindness, it is a possibility that somebody believes in you. And all the question is, can you also extend it to the next person? And that is one of the key things that I'm really passionate about. For the work that I'm doing with African Pharmaceutical Network, I'm keen on empowering as many people as possible. And for those who are interested in the things that we're doing, you want to have a conversation with me, I'm always available. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation and let's see how we can support one another. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. And it was nice having you around. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode. Please subscribe, share, and comment down below so that people who are looking for similar content may get it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.